Expecting a great year from Mahomes and Kelsey.
I'm expecting that level that we saw right there or better. And I just want to level set, if I may, for a moment, the year the Chiefs had. Because I think it has been misremembered a bit because it was such a truly disastrous end.
Okay.
At the exact midway point of the season, this was true. The Chiefs had just ripped off 5 straight games where they averaged more than 30 points and an average margin of victory of 17 points, including games against teams that we thought were, Baltimore, Detroit. Their demolition of Washington kind of ended Washington's hopes for the year. Yeah, in that game, the midway point, which was the game against Washington, Patrick had 330 and 3 touchdowns. Travis had 6 for 100 and a touchdown. And the very next day, Patrick was the favorite to win league MVP, and the Chiefs were the favorite to win the Super Bowl. From that moment,
what was their record at that?
5-3.
Okay.
From that moment, so they had lost their opening 2 games. They played the game against Jacksonville. They lost at the very end. They'd won everything. They'd won 5 of their last 6, with the 1 loss being the Jacksonville game. From that moment forward, everything was a disaster. And the game where Patrick blew out his knee, they were 6-7, down 3 on the fringe of field goal range against the Chargers with 2 minutes left. Patrick blew out his knee, and they're just dead from that moment forward. Mm-hmm. What has bristled me about Brew's pessimism about my beloved Chiefs?
I am pessimistic. Surprisingly.
Again, they're 6-7 in the game. Patrick blows out his knee. They lose that game. They're 6-8.
Yeah.
They weren't. They're down 3 past midfield in field goal range when Patrick blew out his kney. I don't know if they would have lost. You
don't think it's fair to say they were 6-8 with Mahomes?
Well, they
were going to lose. They were outplayed most of that game.
Okay, so be it. The rest of the year, they then lost to Tennessee and Vegas, and then the game against the Broncos where they 13-13.
Yeah, I don't even count those last.
Right, but so that's why that's where I'm getting at. So Baltimore won 8 games. I think you believe in them. Cincinnati was 3-3 with Joe Burrow. Forget their overall record, won't hold it against them. And the previous 2 years with Burrow, they were 14-13. They've been around an 8-9 win team with Burrow. The Chiefs, I think, as bad as things were at the end of the year, if Patrick doesn't get hurt, finish 8-9. I think they beat Tennessee and Vegas. Like, call me crazy. I think they do. I don't know why teams, or throw the Lions in as well, who collapsed at the end of the year, who I think you have some faith in for next year, why those teams deserve more confidence that last year was an outlier year, just a down year, than the Chiefs do. And I feel like that's how I think both of you potentially feel. And so that's that's my argument.
Well, look, it's true that I guess the first half of the season, we all were believers in the Chiefs. They looked great, right?
Yes.
They beat Baltimore, like you said. They beat Detroit.
They crushed Detroit. They crushed Baltimore.
They looked great, but it wasn't a good year for them.
No, obviously.
And I think, and I think even with Mahomes, it wasn't good. Even if you want to say 6-7 instead of 6-8, that's not good. No. Now, some of it's probably because they've been the standard, and we're judging them against their old team. But I also think a lot of people are looking at the year before when they had a great record, but so many of those games were close. Then they get into the Super Bowl and get annihilated. And then the next year they're 6-8, 6-7 with Mahomes. And Mahomes, I want nothing more than to see him back to when he was putting up these video game numbers. But we haven't seen that in 3 years. Even when they've won, he hasn't put up those numbers. And so that I am surprisingly, even to myself, a bit pessimistic about them. I think some of it, Nick, also is their division. I think the Chargers are really good. I think Denver is a good team.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm
stunned
you have more faith in the Chargers than the Chiefs.
Okay, let's get into this. I can't wait. This is genuinely hilarious, the way he's talking about winning, points per game, and the margin of victory against the New York Giants and Russell Wilson. Let's actually break this down. The Baltimore Ravens they beat were literally collapsing. Their defense was decimated, and Lamar Jackson got injured. By the way, they also lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then they beat the Detroit Lions, who also had a wrecked defense. and they didn't exactly dominate them. I know the final was 30-17, but there was that whole controversy with the touchdown that wasn't a touchdown. If two plays go differently, that touchdown call and a fourth down conversion, the entire complexion of that game changes. I watched it. And again, that defense was not good all year. Then there's the Las Vegas Raiders game, 31-0. Okay. And then they finished off the Washington Commanders. He's right about that one. They took down Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. Really? Like, that was the team with high hopes of winning it all? That didn't happen until the Chiefs beat them 28-7. What are we even talking about right now? And now there's this audacity to invent some alternate scenario around the Chargers game. The one where people say, oh, it wasn't until Patrick Mahomes blew out his knee. You mean the game where he went 16 for 28, 189 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception? That interception came on the drive before he got hurt, when they were actually in position to tie the game. And yet you're so confident they would have gotten into field goal range and tied it? He literally threw an interception right there. I don't know what to tell you. He wasn't playing well, and he threw a devastating pick in an absolute must-have game. Now Nick wants to talk about revisionist history and accuse others of misremembering. Now the line is, they would have won, they would have done this and that, if not for the injury. Really? That's the song and dance we're doing now? Let's talk about how the Chiefs ended Washington's season. They lost to Chicago, Dallas, Kansas City, Seattle, Detroit, Miami, Denver, Minnesota. Like, what are we doing here? That's what ended their season. That's literally what ended their season. I'm sorry, man, this is just too funny. In that stretch Nick was emphasizing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those teams they beat were not playoff teams. I don't care what people thought about the Ravens or the Lions at the time. They weren't playoff teams, and they weren't playing well. It's one thing if they were playing great but just didn't make the playoffs, like the Colts earlier in the season. At that time, they were playing great. That's not the story with the Ravens or the Lions. Let's not twist that. Let's not ignore the fact that both those teams were decimated on defense with injuries. I guess we just won't talk about that. But then again, you don't think the books get cooked when you beat a team 31-0 or 28-7 in terms of averages over a 5-game win streak? You don't think that skews things? Especially when you're touting the margin of victory. What about the Jaguars game? What about the Bills game? What about the Broncos game? Funny how the point differential starts to look a little different when you include those. Against the Chiefs in that stretch, the Ravens went 1-3. They lost to the Bills, congrats on beating the Browns, then lost to the Lions, the Texans, and the Rams. Again, what are we doing here? Then Nick goes on, and I'll turn this into a separate video, where he says, I'm surprised you have faith in the Chargers because they had the worst offensive line in the NFL, and their quarterback still played better than Patrick Mahomes, and they actually made the playoffs and won 11 games. Now this year, their offensive line is expected to be healthy and actually good, and they've got an awesome offensive coordinator. So it's not hard to imagine there's going to be some confidence there. Just a thought. You have faith that things will be different for the Chiefs because their offensive line will be better and you've got Eric Bieniemy back, and you think that changes things. You're out here acting like if Mahomes had played, they would have won 8 games, just like the Bengals and Ravens did. The Bengals and Ravens had those wins while their quarterbacks missed games. Their quarterbacks actually missed time. And again, I have faith in the Kansas City Chiefs. People are going to take this whole video as evidence that I always doubt them. No, I'm not. I just like to tell the truth. I like to live in reality. The Kansas City Chiefs were bad last year. That's not revisionist history. And that's coming from someone who defended them every single week when they were winless, when they were 1-3, whatever the record was. I said, I still think they're a playoff team. After they lost to the Jaguars, I said I had more belief in the Chiefs than the Jaguars. Those takes were wrong. I was wrong about the Chiefs because I actually thought highly of them. I defended them. I defended Patrick Mahomes. But that doesn't change the reality of the season as a whole. They were bad. Patrick Mahomes was not good in the moments when he had protection and his receivers were there. He made bad decisions and bad throws that had nothing to do with his receivers, nothing to do with the offensive line, nothing to do with play calling. He was not good enough. That's just a fact. I'm not saying if he was better they would have won, or if you had Josh Allen they would have made the playoffs. That's not what I'm saying at all. But stop pretending this was just a random fluke. It wasn't. This has been the trend for the Chiefs in 23, 24, 25 with that offense under Mahomes. Yeah, they got to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl the year before. But they weren't playing well. They just weren't. And they know it. They've admitted it. Patrick Mahomes himself has admitted it. He said, "This isn't sustainable. We can't keep winning games like this. We have to find a better way." He's been saying that since 2023. Those are his words. Because he's not dumb. He understands football. He knows they've been winning games and getting away with stuff, and it's not enough. Andy Reid isn't allowing it either. He said, "This isn't good enough. Yeah, we won, but if you think this is the way we're going to keep winning, you're in for a rude awakening." And boy, did they get a rude awakening? So this is what the trend has been. They know it. They're not dumb. So we can twist the conversation, cook the books all we want. But if you think the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid felt like they were MVPs and Super Bowl frontrunners after blowing out the Las Vegas Raiders and the Washington Commanders, you're confused. You're significantly confused. They know it. Mahomes knows it. Reid knows it. Kelsey knows it. What did they do against the Buffalo Bills? What did the Denver Broncos do against the Bills? What did C.J. Stroud do against the Chiefs? What did the New England Patriots do to C.J. Stroud? What did Justin Herbert do with a terrible offensive line? What did Patrick Mahomes do with a terrible offensive line? You can fight reality all you want. It doesn't invalidate it. It doesn't make it incorrect. And honestly, the most hilarious example is looking at that 5-game win streak. I mean, come on. Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. Geno Smith and the Raiders. Russell Wilson, that essentially ended Russell Wilson's career. Russell Wilson and the Giants. Come on, man. And Nick, this is where it gets really funny, and I'll end here. Nick said, "Well, they beat teams that at the time we thought were playoff teams, like the Ravens and the Lions." Buddy, you didn't think they were playoff teams. You didn't think the Lions were any good. You didn't think the Ravens were any good. Now you want to elevate them after you beat them. And in fact, when the Jaguars beat you, nobody thought the Jaguars were that good. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you all think about this revisionist history, and which direction is it spinning? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some debates. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you be part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.